Welcome, everybody, for week 48 of What Did Prince Do This Week? And we're going to get this party started. I'm in a mellow mood today, and you'll understand why once we get to the music break. But not because I'm sad, it's because I'm mellow. All right, so week 48, What Did Prince Do This Week? This is a very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions book series through an interactive weekly online book club. I got too much energy for this music. And Saturday Salon. I got to get my quiet storm voice, which I can't seem to get into today, echoing the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance every Saturday at noon. But before we get more into the housekeeping, let's say hello to Cassandra Bradley, who is first in the chat. Belated Thanksgiving to you and your entire families. I am funky fresh back from knee surgery and almost ready for a Prince James Brown split, not Harley. Cassandra, we hope that you recover soon so you can get your dance moves on. And we got D in the house. Blessings, Prince Family Lamb. We got KMS 1984. Hello, Purple Saints from Georgia. We got Nick Felden from Denver. We got Laura from Romania. We got Christina from Minneapolis. We got Andre from Detroit. Everybody wants me to do something special for the 100th episode. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but it's going to be 100 episodes, and sometimes you have to be thankful for what you got. And so we got Man Ray 10, happy purple holidays, everybody. Love that. We got Barbara Y from the ATL. We got Drea Dances. Thank you. I did have a wonderful birthday. Welcome. Ronald Dagley Jr. We got our timekeeper. All right. And then we got Dr. Claw. Got the purple bars and the snowflakes. We also have Raywan. We got D68A. And we got Arlene. We got Mira. We got Purple Cat Confetti. Congratulations on starting your new nanny job, Purple Cat Confetti.
Bless you. Bless you and anybody working with the sticky-handed babies. Bless you. Bless you and them sticky-handed babies. Go ahead on.
Yes. And we have one of the hardest working men in show business, Law. Welcome. Michael will be joining us. He's just having some computer problems right now. He's trying to...
Yes. He's computer free for the moment.
Yes. We got El Dabara. Mooches, I was hoping you were going to show up so we could see the beautiful vanity on the screen. All right, Michael Dean. Can you
Good morning. I can hear you now.
Good morning. Can you hear us? All right.
Yeah.
Say good morning to the people, Michael Dean.
Good morning, family.
Yes. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, Thanksgiving was beautiful. Just went over mom's house. Had some good food. Surrounded by all the ladies in my family, daughters and sisters. So it was good.
So quick question, Brother Dean. Is your whole family, are y'all all located in Seattle, and is that the root of your family?
No. It's just a small group of us out here. Most of us are in Houston or Beaumont. Then the other side is like Shreveport.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't know that when you talk about the Exodus, the Black Exodus, right after after Reconstruction, people automatically think all the Black people went to Chicago, right? But actually, you can draw a line, and most people from Texas went west. So The people in Mississippi and Alabama, they went to Chicago. People in Tennessee, they went to Chicago because that was also the Blues Trail. Like the Blues Trail, the line was you got your skill in Clarksdale, you got your fame in Memphis, and you got your money in Chicago. So that was kind of the Blues Trail line. But people in Texas went west. And also a little known fact, not only did black people in Texas go west, one of the reasons why they had so much problem with policing in South Central was because the LA police actively recruited Klans members from the South. Right. So you didn't just have black people from Texas going west, you also had those neo-Confederates going west. Anyway, so thank you for that piece about your folks. So that's a little bit piece of history to know how people got everywhere.
That's what's up. Man, how y'all doing? How's everybody doing?
I'm doing just peachy, as my sister would say. Had a lovely time with me. Yeah. Yeah, I love the end of the song. All right. Purple Cat Confetti. My sister went to Minneapolis for a day. That's what I'm talking about. I wish one day I can roll like that, but not right now. All right. So let's get finished with our housekeeping. As always, we have a lot to talk about. And we are going week to week, not date to date. And I don't know. I'm here. Let's see. I'm going to keep talking to see what happens. What did Prince do this week? You can follow the detailed schedule at this QR code or bit.ly link. You do not need the expanded edition, but this is what we reading.
Awesome.
C Liegh, do you not have your book today?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I was like, did you not come to class prepared?
I was actually reading the comments and got caught up. I was like, oh, these nice comments.
Yes. So we got the I-55 to 57 corridor from Mississippi to Memphis to Chicago.
I was trying to think of the city that's outside of Chicago that all black people know you don't stop there. I gotta remember that city. But Brother Dean, this is how you know you don't stop there. First time I stopped there to get gas. And I went into, I know this is crazy, this is wrong. I went into the KFC and it was white folks frying the chicken. I was like, no, this is not the place.
Hilarious.
Not the place. This is not the place. I said, and when I told people Chicago, they said, you got gas where? I got to remember the name of that city. But it's a city that was known in that 55, 57 corridor that you don't stop. You get gas either before there, so you can get into Chicago and get your gas up. I got to remember the name of that city. Anyway.
You know,
Cicero. That's it, brother. Watch this. Cicero. Look,
I don't like the name of the sound of it.
If you black and traveling to Chicago from the South, don't stop in Cicero, player. That is it. Yes.
I was gonna say my only couple of Chicago stories, and my Prince related one in a weird way. I don't know why I'm even gonna say this, but I drove through Chicago. This is before Emancipation. That's how I framed some things in my mind, like what album was out. But it was, and this would take you back to like Hammer's Chat. Who remembers those? I believe the early days of the org. Didn't they have a chat there back in the day, or some sort of function of that? Anyway, this was back in also AOL days, Prince chats. But this was back then. And there was a fellow Prince fan that I'm not going to say their name, and most of you wouldn't know who it is anyway. But yeah, we got to talking. You know how they get to talking.
Lips get loose.
You get to talking, and their feelings get to exchange and whatnot. But it all ended up where I flew out to this area, and then we drove back. It's DC, and we drove all the way back from DC to Seattle, and one of the stops we made was Chicago, and it was winter time. And I figured out, I didn't realize it was the wrong time to be driving across the country, but we got to Chicago, and I just remember there was like a McDonald's. It was like on the freeway, and you just pull off on the freeway, and it was just like this one little building, and it was just like a rest stop, but it was a McDonald's. And I remember we drove into that, and everyone was looking at the TV screens in the McDonald's, and what was playing on was the Chicago Bulls game. Jordan. and everyone was just transfixed. And I was like, "Can I get a Big Mac to go?" I got my nyan in the car, and we trying to get back to Seattle. So that's my Chicago. And the other Chicago story was I actually almost got jacked in Chicago, but that's for another time.
Oh no! Yes. All right.
Anyway, story time.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's what Thanksgiving is all about.
Professionals of the Purple Kingdom.
That's another podcast, Michael.
There you go.
All right. So these will be archived at Polished Solid as well as at MDean on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and help spread the word because we love Duane's book. We love Prince. We love Prince on tour. And we're just having a great time. Obviously, I love this community, and I really look forward to being with all of you every Saturday. And I know that you do too, or otherwise you would not show up every weekend on a Saturday. And Chris Bournet is saying, I am on a plane flying into Chicago right now. That's what I'm talking about, commitment. Okay. On my way back from visiting friends in London, England. Ooh, I wish
Chris.
London. We had a layover in Iceland, so I've been around the world in a day.
Well, you're an international lover, ain't you, player? International lover. Go ahead, brother Renee. Go. Hey, brother Renee, just remember, put your seat back. It's like, if turbulence.
So you got Wi-Fi on the plane or something? How are you watching this?
Yeah, you got Wi-Fi on the plane. That's what Chris Bournet does it.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
International love. The rest of us, we got to turn our Wi-Fi off. But Chris Bournet, his Wi-Fi stay on.
Yes, safe travels.
Yes, Christina. Let's keep it focused. Yeah, so Kim isn't with us right now. Hopefully she'll be right back. But yes, we got to stay focused. Okay. We got El DeBar Prince Icon photo exhibition last week in London was so worth it. Got to meet Steve Park amongst other great talent. That's so incredible, El DeBar. I saw the video. Like I said, Michael Dean, I wish I would have made different life choices so I could have just flown over to this London photo exhibition, but I did not make those choices. So
Me and you both. I did not make the right life choices.
Yes.
Every time somebody come fix something in my house and they charge me $500 for 15 minutes ago, I did not eat damn poem and get it. I have not made the right choice.
Yes. And we have Realign the DJ. Realign the DJ. Why do you have
old school album?
Yeah, Woman in Red.
Woman in Red.
Hey.
Woman in Red.
Is there like a anniversary, or is this just what you're listening to right now? Tell us about your avatar. Because
what was the song from that? The big song from that?
Lady in Red. Woman in Red.
Okay. I was like a kid. I just didn't know exactly what that was. I was like, oh, this is some movie and the lady is in the red and her thing is blowing up. I don't know if I'm supposed to be looking at that picture,
And to keep it PG, that movie opens with one of the funniest lines my teenage self had ever heard. I'm gonna keep it PG, but because that's Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder is starring in that movie. And that movie because it opens with him on a ledge. The movie opens with him on a ledge and people think he's about to jump off the ledge. And I just tell people, go check that out. Oh, I just called to say I love you was also from that. There you go. Okay, I was always partial to Woman in Red, but you're right. I just called to say I love you was a bigger hit. There we go.
So Carol Brooks is asking, is the photo exhibition coming here? I haven't heard anything about one coming to the States, but that would be lovely. So if anybody hears about an photo exhibition for the Icon book, please let us know, because I am less and less on social media and I am not in the know lately. So I really appreciate that. All right. So this is our hashtag. Oh, I feel like, C Liegh, did you want to say something?
Quickly, we can circle back to it. So Bomani Jones, who a lot of people know I love, has been doing concert reviews. And he said that I Just Called to Say I Love You is the Stevie Wonder hit that nobody wants to hear, but Stevie is obligated to sing it because it was a hit. And so my question is to the Prince community, is there a Prince song that was a hit?
Oh, that's easy.
That Prince may have been obligated to play that the majority of people didn't want to hear. It just had this, and I'm being facetious. I'm just kind of joking, but I thought about that notion that we all know that there are lots of artists who kind of got saddled with a hit. That hit may not have been their thing, right? The closest I could come to, although I would say I like this song. Let me say it again. I actually like this song, but the closest I would come to would be Most Beautiful Girl in the World. That was kind of like a number one hit. That was a surprise hit because we know Prince pushed it. But is that a hit that, say, if you're a Prince fan, you showing up for, and yeah, that's the one that's gonna slam for me. But anyway, I'm just throwing that out there as a don't get on me, because I like Most Beautiful Girl in the World. I'm not one of the people who hated on it when it was number one in the world and all y'all was hating on it. All right, let's move on.
Hilarious.
So Andre is saying Diamonds and Pearls.
What?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be Purple Rain or something, but I
knew people was gonna start putting songs in the chat that other people was gonna be mad got put in the chat. That's why I was like, I hesitated, because like now I watch people put songs in the chat and people gonna be mad. Like, that's my jam. You better not put Arms of Orion in there.
See, Kim is saying you're stirring pots.
See, I know, my bad, Kim. I rescind the question. I'm not.
The only song I can think of that it wouldn't be a Prince song. I would think of maybe somebody like Cisco with Thong Song or something. I don't know if that's something he still would want, but maybe he's like, yeah, I gotta do. But that would be something like you might want to grow up out of that one. The Thong Song.
Oh my God. So Dr. Claw, I love Dr. Claw's answer. I would guess it was from the Purple Rain album or Diamonds and Pearls, only because those were, two popular songs. I mean, two popular albums. And when something blows up really big, you just hear it over and 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 over again. So it gets like really old really quick. And we have, but we do have to say, Vanessa, that Arms of Orion was never a hit.
And just so you know, Prof. Duff is saying that with all the smoke, you can hear her voice. If you want to know, she couldn't wait to add that wasn't a hit. Like she was.
I wonder somewhere though that song was a hit, like because it was a part. Was it a B-side or was it a single?
That was a B-side.
It was B-side. I wonder if there's somewhere in the world that
it was a single.
Yeah, it was a single. I take that back.
Yeah, somewhere they probably was like, "Yo, Arms of Orion." When that clicked on, who was on there? Was Sheena Easton?
Yes.
There might be some Sheena Easton fans that might.
Yeah, I'm like that goes hard for them.
Right after Physical goes off, and then you just right in.
Slow it down for the.
I was gonna say, you know who doesn't have one of those type of songs, in my opinion? I don't know if this one starts some shit, but Michael Jackson. I don't think there's nothing I would skip. That I think, I've heard them songs backwards and forwards, but me personally, I can't think of anything like, I don't want to hear that.
That's interesting. That's because somebody like me who grew up. I saw like every incarnation of Michael Jackson from the Jackson 5. I will say though, when I saw the Jackson 5, let me be honest.
My bad. Physical was Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, this is my. I did see. I want to be clear. I saw the Jackson 5, but I didn't hear the Jackson 5 because here's all I heard. The announcer came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Jackson 5." And for the next 2 hours, it was teenage black girls going, "Ah!" That is all I heard. I didn't hear no songs. I didn't hear no show. I just heard teenage black girls screaming. That's it. Right.
Yeah. It's so we're not going to we've already derailed, but it's interesting when you say it like that, because that's like who took that lane, in some ways. I think our generation, that would be the new edition, but obviously they were just doing J5, so right. It's fun. Anyway, yeah, Kim, we see you, Kim.
Yeah.
I'm like, get focused, Negro.
Yes. All right. One day I'll learn. Okay. Hashtag WDPDTW. If you want to come on to talk about your experience at the Purple Rain Tour, we want you. And next week, we're going to be talking about the Maple Leaf Gardens show in Toronto, as well as the Richfield Ohio show. So if anybody knows anybody who went to the Richfield, Ohio show, that would be really lovely. So those are what we're looking for. And again, WDPDTW@gmail.com for Why Do People Dance This Weird? All right. And this is an independent endeavor. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. We started off the top of the show with the one and only Eric Leeds from his second Paisley Park release, Things Left Unsaid, in 1993. Look at Eric looking so suave on the cover. That almost looks like, I know it's not Manisa, but it could have been in the background. Almost. All right. And then okay. And then we had composed by Santi Vega. And remember, there's actually a version of Isla Mujeres by Santi Vega. I guess I should add it actually to the playlist. I will do so afterwards. We are week 48, one episode away from 100 episodes. I know everybody wants to do something special. I will try, but I might not be able to pull it off in a week. So we'll do what we can do. Otherwise, it will be Michael Dean and I celebrating 100 episodes, and you, because you are important. Okay, and we have 5 live shows this week, and let's look at them. So we got on Monday, Capitol Center. On Wednesday, Capitol Center. On Thursday, Capitol Center. On Friday, Capitol Center. But on Thursday morning, there was a Gallaudet College morning show, and for deaf students. All right. So this was a bit of an itinerary that has been in probably one of the auctions and things. And you can see that the hotel was Watergate. I didn't even know that there was a hotel called Watergate in DC, which is kind of funny in my personal opinion. And then you can see.
So was that the hotel where they had the tapes?
It might have been the hotel where they had.
That's, that's what it was. That Nixon bugged the hotel room.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
so that may have been the actual hotel where he bugged the tapes.
I think it was actually. Yeah. Yes.
Early freak off tapes. Political.
Oh my God. And then you can see on Saturday that they traveled from Washington to Toronto on Saturday, and they took US Air number 244. And once they got to Toronto, they were at the Westin for one night, and then they moved to the Maple Leaf Gardens. Oh no, Maple Leaf Gardens is the venue. Duh. I'm still a little tired this morning. Okay.
We just got confirmation. People said yes, that is the hotel.
Yep. Okay.
That's the hotel where they booked it.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So Prince stayed at the Hotel of Infamy. All right. So let's get started with our readings for the week. This one would be super short. This is about the Philly show from an article in the Atlantic City. It's called Press of Atlantic City. And the end paragraph says, and this is Prince speaking, this is how he ended the show in Philly. We're only here for a short time. Try to love one another, and may you live to see the dawn. I just really love that we're only here for a short time. It's always a constant reminder. And then, so this is a ticket from the Monday, November 26th show at the Capitol Center. We've been seeing the tickets, so we know what they look like. I thought this was an interesting article in the Star Tribune from that Tuesday, because it said that the December 28th concert would be a matinee to allow time for Prince's stage production to be trucked to Dallas for a December 30th show. So that would be pretty cool to see a matinee Prince show. I wonder what that was like, and it may not have been different. And then on a Wednesday, C Liegh, can I have you read the very quick 2 sentences on page 454 in the middle?
Okay, sure. 454 for Wednesday, November 28th.
Yeah, but just the I Would Die For You one.
Okay, I Would Die For You is released as a single, back with Another Lonely Christmas. It would peak at number 8 on the Billboard charts.
Yes, that's the only reason why we watched that. I wanted you to read that is because I want everyone to see that it peaked at number 8. And yes,
and that is still in my Christmas playlist.
Yeah. Nice, Rodney. That's so great that you went to the Spectrum. for the Thanksgiving show.
Well, come on and tell us about it, right?
Yeah, you know what, Laura, this is a really good question. My presentation at the last Prince Symposium that Dr. Kirsty Fairclough did at the University of Minnesota, which was called Prince on Screen, I actually talked about Prince and death throughout his career. So maybe I should write that book because it doesn't exist. All right, so let's see. This is what the fourth single looks like because the 12-inch won't be released until a couple of weeks later. So this is the 7-inch single and what it looks like. And then, oh, I had the back, but it doesn't matter. On the back of this is another Lonely Christmas. That's what I hit that slide for some reason. But everyone should know, because we talked about this maybe in September, I think, that there is a version of I Would Die For You on the brand new Transa compilation put out by Red Hot. Red Hot has always put out, for decades actually, compilations supporting really good causes. And there's a version of I Would Die For You sung by Lauren Otter, but they're accompanied by Wendy and Lisa. And there's also a new song by Sade. There's also a song by Andre 3000, a new song by Sam Smith. I haven't had an opportunity to listen to the entire thing. I did listen to the Wendy and Lisa Lauren Otter version of I Would Die For You. It's also in the accompanying playlist.
Is this new or is this?
Yeah, it's brand new. It was just released maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, something like that.
Well, who is this called? The Red Hot?
Yeah, Transa. It's Transa, Transa. So Red Hot compilation, Red Hot, the organization, has put out several compilations over the years, and I actually used to collect them, and they've done, let me see if I can find it, so they had Red Hot and Blue was their first one from 1990. And I'm going to actually share this so you can see it. They have released so many different.
Familiar, Red Hot. I kind of remember that.
Because they've done Red Hot and Fela. They've done, one of my favorites was Red Hot and Rhapsody.
Is that Fela as in Fela Kuti?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's that a song with D'Angelo and
I was
did a song
just listening to Fela Kuti last night.
Yeah, I think so, Michael. Yeah, it's and Real Lana DJ says that the Sade song is superb.
Wow, it's a new Sade song.
Yes, a new song.
Oh yeah, let me get up on it.
Yes, so it's called Transa, Transa.
That's what's up.
Let's see. And, okay, yeah, Christina said that Red Hot and Blue was their favorite. That was the very, very first one. And it was actually, if I remember correctly, yeah, it was like Cole Porter songs.
Okay.
Bambado's on there? What?
Yeah. So it's like
the chair. I kind of remember this from back in the day.
Yeah, like it's really a great organization for really amazing causes. And yeah, I'm glad that they're still doing their thing. And any new music by Sade is obviously always a blessing. And also Andre 3000. All right.
Have you heard the Andre song on there?
No, I haven't listened to it. Only thing I listened to was the I Would Die For You. That's the only one that I listened to. Oh, I had it in the wrong order. So this is the back of the single and what it looks like. And obviously it has Another Lonely Christmas. I love this shot. I've always loved this photo series of Prince. And this is obviously Prince Vault. And the reason why I'm showing this is that Prince Vault, if you read it, it basically says that Prince only played this song once, and it was on December 26, 1984 in St. Paul. So it's only live once. And I got to give thanks to D68A for posting a rehearsal of Another Lonely Christmas. And I'm going to say something controversial, but I don't want to be controversial. But if you have ears, I can kind of understand why he only played it once. That's just me. If you listen to the rehearsal. So thank you so much, D68A, for posting that. And then also there is some rehearsals footage that D68A posted of I Would Die For You. So there, I don't, so D68A, if you're still here, I don't think you have any shows from this week. So I just kind of use these two.
Can you go back to the yeah, right there.
Yes.
Who did he do everything on that? I can't remember.
Yes, I'm sure he did actually.
And you know what? I was kind of so
Yes.
I've always wondered if that's been the reason why he couldn't get it right, because it was one of those really things that he did everything on.
Yeah.
And one of the few times that getting it to be communicated by everyone else in the same way. Because I'm like you, I have the version of it played live, and I don't hate the live version, but the intensity of what you get is one of the few times where the intensity of the live version doesn't match the intensity of the studio version. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I just wonder if it was just getting other players, right? There's this great quote from Prince. He was interviewed in 1980 or 81. He says that one of the reasons I do everything is because if I'm playing a song or writing a song, I could have sex on my mind, but the bass player could have ice cream on his. And so I always thought about that being the disability, the inability sometimes to get the people who are interpreting what you wrote to play it in the same way. I'll shut up.
So I think can someone actually Google whosampled.com and see if someone has covered Another Lonely Christmas? I don't recall anyone covering that, but I love this quote, Chris Bournet, like if a blues artist would cover Another Lonely Christmas, it would be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I love that you have here Buddy Guy putting his spin on it. Would be cool. I would love to hear B.B. King do a version of Another Lonely Christmas.
Yeah.
It would be pretty ridiculous.
Because it has the space for a blues song. It has enough space. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, and like you should, C Liegh, you should definitely listen to the rehearsal that's in the accompanying playlist that D68A posted of Another Lonely Christmas. Because if you truly listen to that rehearsal, you'll understand why he only played it once.
Okay.
So thank you, D68A, as always, because the context is key. And all right, here we go. Another article from Vicksburg Evening Post. Here we go again. So last week we talked about the phones jamming. Prince fans who jammed telephone circuits earlier this month in St. Paul, Minnesota, as they rushed to snap up 34,000 tickets to two of the rock stars' concerts, rushed again to their phones to order tickets when two additional shows were scheduled. Nearly all the 34,000 tickets to shows December 23rd and 28th, which were announced Monday, were sold by noon Tuesday. The earlier sales for shows December 26th and 27th tied up telephone lines for about 5 hours. Northwestern Bell Telephone Company spokesman Tom Lee noted that the organization selling the tickets leased 10 extra phone lines for this week's expected deluge of calls.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty awesome that they actually bought 10 extra phone lines. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you think about like 34,000. I mean, that's, obviously there's a few will call, but for the majority, that's actual real tickets. Like 30-something thousand people had to exchange hands to get those tickets. That's just fascinating.
Yeah, like you need to say that again, Michael Dean, because we had to go to the physical location to get physical tickets. So you had 34,000 folks moving to get
That's some logistics.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
All right. So, Michael Dean, if you don't mind reading about the Thursday show, which is page 454. Actually, you know what? I'll read this. I'll read it. So it's It's the morning. It's about the morning show on November 29th, and it's Gallaudet College Field House in DC, and the capacity was 3,100, and it was a full house. And Bobby Z is the quote from this entry. Prince's charity work can be summed up in one word: Gallaudet, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. A surprise concert was scheduled for the morning at Gallaudet College, now Gallaudet University, a school for the deaf and hard of hearing in Washington, D.C. During the show, Prince's lyrics were interpreted via sign language from the stage. And this is Wendy. I remember we went to Gallaudet, the School for the Deaf in Washington, D.C., and did the entire show in their auditorium, and it was incredible. There were huge monitors on the floor in the audience, so the kids could feel the bottom end. I remember at least 25 signers in the audience who were watching us and signing all the words to every song. The kids loved it. This is Angela Maxey, 18, a deaf student in Gallaudet, said through an interpreter. I had a lot of fun. I felt his music. I couldn't hear the words, but I could feel the vibrations. Deaf people really appreciate and love loud music. And then this is Bobby Z. I remember being on stage during that show, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. They had speakers for the students with big subwoofers so they could feel the music, and we could feel them feeling the music. And it was an incredible thing to behold, a very emotional experience. Throughout his lifetime, Prince was always dedicated to charity. On this tour, special $50 Purple Circle seats were made available for practically every show, with the money earmarked for the Marva Collins Preparatory School. And $50 was a lot of money back then in '84. It has been reported that Prince donated $500,000 to the school, in addition to the money collected for the Purple Circle tickets. This was something he'd do for his entire career, often without any fanfare or recognition. It was in Prince's nature to help those he felt truly needed the help, and he gave his money and time to charity work at a rate far beyond what has been reported, because he gave anonymously, and we don't even probably know every single thing that he has done. Today's show was free for the students, but Prince paid everyone on the crew $100 each to put on the private performance. The show meant a lot to everyone involved, especially Prince. It was one of the few times on the tour that he signed autographs. Once the show was over, everyone went back to the Capitol Center to prepare for the evening concert. Drum tech Brad Marsh remembers that one of the students there had made a cutout cardboard guitar for him. I heard that when Prince left, he was reduced to tears.
You said something that was important too. You said we hear about some of these things, philanthropy, but yeah, we probably have no idea what he was really doing. If you can just look at the ones that you've heard about, and you look at the background of them, and you kind of align them, like you can see there's sort of a pattern. So you can only imagine probably what he was doing and supporting that we may never know. But yeah, you can only imagine, like, okay, I see what he was doing. And you can kind of get an idea what kind of cat he was, at least in that realm of what he at least had in his heart. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. My mother was one of those people who, she actually had the certification that she could create curriculum for both gifted children and special needs children. And so what I remember, so I'd always seen my mother working with special needs children along with gifted children. But that was the first time, because I remember hearing it. Just, I remember I'm 14, so I'm, you don't know because you're 14. I was like, a concert for deaf children? And so my mother, it really opened a really great conversation. Because at that point, how you kind of know what your mama does, but not really, you just think she a teacher, but you don't know. And so my mother she would get hearing aids and do special tests for different children. Because a lot of times children would get put in special ed. They didn't need to be in special ed. They had some kind of physical problem that if you could take care of their physical problem, you could put them in regular classrooms. And so knowing about this Prince concert, it was just interesting. I remember that concert because it really helped me have a conversation about my mother's work and to really learn the special work that my mother was doing. I know that's not what Prince had intended, but it was just a really cool thing that when I think about this concert, I think about it. It really helped me to know a lot of the stuff that my mom was doing. That's it. I'll shut up.
Oh, wow. You show at Howard? I know.
Yeah. C Liegh, do you remember what happened when people bought tickets over the phone? Did they just ask for your credit card and people just told them the credit card number? Because
you would give them your credit card number. Sometimes in very rare cases, you could also do check numbers, believe it or not. You could do check and routing numbers, but it was basically credit card numbers. And there was wheel call, but a lot of times these were out far enough to where you could actually get them mailed to you if you chose. So you could do wheel call, because I remember a couple of times having people get things mailed back to them. Luckily for me, being in Memphis, I could just drive over to Memphis, so I didn't have to go through that. But in a lot of cases, my aunts and uncles, when they would do things, they would give the credit card over. People got to remember, these are credit cards, not debit cards. So this is a whole different kind of financing that you're taking on with extra fees and those kind of things. But yeah, you're spot on. That's how it worked.
Yeah, so I don't remember because I never went that route. I always went to the record store, and Turtles was the store that I went to for all the tickets. And there was another store called Peaches in Atlanta that also sold tickets. And Dorothy is saying, yes, I did that and got it mailed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Okay, so next up is, this is a ticket from Thursday, November 29th, still at Capitol Center. And I'm going to read some from this article. Rocks Prince, a subtle manipulator of lusting press. Let me see, where is it?
That ad, though.
Well, what's funny, Michael Dean, I was actually editing this on the plane, and I was like, somebody's going to think I'm a pervert or something if they look over and see this little thing. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. And this is by Ken Tucker. We've heard from Ken before. And it says, it took the mainstream media a heck of a long time with Prince. Why should this be? After all, the man has been making successful albums since 1978. The most obvious answer is, of course, simple racism. Most magazines and TV shows do not smother you with coverage if your album is #1 on the Billboard Black music chart. You have to be on the pop charts before they'll give you the time of day. Even then, it's an uphill battle. For example, MTV, cable television's most influential rock video service, didn't begin screening Prince videos until the demand was overwhelming. One result of this is that Prince's best pre-superstar music is unknown to his new fans. As exciting as Prince's music was on Purple Rain, on 1982's 1999, and on 1981's Controversy, wait for it, his finest album, which I agree with because that's my #1 Prince album. And I've never seen a critic say that outright, so I'm very excited to find this. The one that contains his most daring and compelling music, that's what he's talking about in terms of controversy. But then he's talking about, he said, no, I'm reading this wrong. Controversy, his finest album, the one that contains his most daring and compelling music remains 1980's Dirty Mind, a still impressive, still shocking album about love and sex unmarred by Prince's apocalyptic ramblings. Reviews of Prince's current tour suggest he isn't playing much from Dirty Mind. Let's hope his current success and the attendant pressure to make himself accessible, and that's in quotes, to his audience and the media don't kill his admirable desire to make provocative music in the future. And this is from a Canadian. I don't know if Ken Tucker is Canadian, though, because I think this might be syndicated, but this was published in a Canadian newspaper. I really loved finding this particular article. So, and I love that, he's basically saying, where were all these people from 1978 to 1984, which I think is pretty brilliant. That's just me. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely syndicated. Thank you, syndicated article.
Go ahead, Brother Dean. Go ahead.
I was going to add, that person said something interesting about the apocalyptic ramblings. And I'm going to ask this question, but to set it up. The other day I was listening to 1999, but then somehow I got into Stevie, and you are the sunshine of my life. That came on, and in that song, Stevie has sort of there's a female voice sings some of it, another guy sings it, and then Stevie comes in, and it reminded me of 1999 way it's sort of structured. But I was like, I always think of 1999, and I think of like Sly and Science. But then I started thinking, I wonder, was he also maybe kind of had Stevie in the mind a little bit? But what's interesting, and when I thought about it, is like the ideas or the themes of the songs are so almost on the opposite ends of like one's, you're the love of my life. And this other one is sort of on the apocalyptic ramblings, I guess, as this lady would say. But my question is to ask, with that said, what do you guys think? In your mind, what were the themes of the Purple Rain album? Like, what was he talking about to you? What was the overall theme of that album? I don't know if you ever thought about it. I don't know if I've ever thought about that, but what's the overall message you think is the Purple Rain album? Where somebody could say, well, he's going apocalyptic a little bit on 1999, dealing with fears of nuclear bombs and that type of stuff. And then where was this one fit? What is he sort of occupied with, do you think?
I mean, for me, the songs that really stood out to me, and this really ties back to the talk that I gave at that Prince on Screen. For me, Prince sung a lot about death. And the song that really stood out to me during this period was Another Lonely Christmas. Another Lonely Christmas is still one of my favorite songs, but it's probably the Prince song that I have listened to the least in my life purposefully, because it's very emotional to me. I remember there aren't a lot of times where I remember the first time that I listened to a Prince song, but I remember listening. I know where I was to Another Lonely Christmas, and it really affected me deeply. And I was concerned about Prince. I mean, I was like, did this really happen? Was this a friend? Is he okay? Kind of thing. It was just like, so that, and then obviously, so Another Lonely Christmas, and then, I Would Die for You. And then, just for me, it was, I've never really thought about this, but since you're asking this question, like, I love Computer Blue, but Computer Blue is like in a minor key, and a minor key, it's not necessarily depressing, but it puts you in a, you're not necessarily in a happy state or a joyous state. So, and then Purple Rain, for me was also like minor key. So I think that might be one of the reasons why it's not, one of my personal favorite Prince albums as a whole. Even though I love songs, but song like Ricky, who's probably still in the audience, for years I just didn't understand Baby I'm a Star. Like I just, especially once It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night came out, I always thought that, It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night is a better rendition of Baby I'm a Star, and just in terms of the mood, that, like the celebratory joyousness. But since Prince passed, and actually listening to the Baby I'm a Star rehearsals, I've grown to understand that Baby I'm a Star is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night, but maybe different. But I really, really love the song. So I find it interesting that, Prince has always sung about us living our best, living life to the fullest, because tomorrow is never promised. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to read from that Philly show, like what he said at the end. So those are the themes that resonate for me with the Purple Rain album, but, life, death, celebration. But C Liegh, I'm sure you might have a different take.
Not necessarily different. Again, we've had this discussion. I don't listen to, and well, Prof does knows this. I don't think a lot of people know. I don't listen to a lot of just instrumentals. Like I'm not an instrumental cat, right? music for me begins with a combination of lyrics and music. And so I have been, since 8, 9 years old, I was reading those lyric sheets. Purple Rain not only is not different than everything he was doing, it's a continuation of personal and spiritual growth. Let me come back. I always tell people, if you were upset about the Rainbow Children, that means you weren't listening to the Controversy album. Like I don't understand how you could be surprised by the Rainbow Children with Annie Christian being right there, with the writing on the Controversy album, with the Lord's Prayer being in the middle of the Controversy album. So I was so happy when Prince did the VH1 one-on-one interview with Chris Rock, because 2 or 3 years from that, before that, in my book, I said that Let's Go Crazy is about spirituality. So to then hear Prince confirm that 2 years later to say the elevator is the devil. I couldn't say God and devil on the radio. Purple Rain is about spiritual evolution. Computer Blue and Darling Dickey is about realizing that you cannot find your higher self through the physical. So Purple Rain is the apex of everything on which he was working, beginning with Dirty Mind through Controversy, 1999. The problem is when you have white rock critics reviewing you through their lens. See, the apocalypse is just as big in gospel music. The apocalypse is just as big. It's just that when you have it in rock metal, the apocalypse is everything is going to die. Everybody's going to die. Everything is going to be bad. The Black Christian expression of the apocalypse is the salvation of Christ. And so when you have white rock critics looking oddly at Prince, they're not used to there being a happy ending. They're not happy. They're not used to, well, Christ is going to save us from all this. They're only used to the heavy metal apocalypse of we're going to end, we're going to die, it's going to be over, we're going to have, no. That's not the Black music experience. So you had Prince giving them what they thought was white sounds, right? White sonics. And then injecting the white sound with a lyricism and a theology and a theme of lyrics. You didn't get that in Kiss. You didn't get that in these other things. So they couldn't, but if you go back, how does he end Controversy? With the cross, with the crucifixion. But in Black gospel music, the crucifixion isn't a bad thing. Christ had to die for us to be redeemed. So 1999, yes, it's going to be a party. Because although all this hell is happening, we going to party on the other side. We going to be saved.
The afterlife.
And so it's the afterlife. So Purple Rain was that same spiritual message. He just cloaked it in a way that, hey, if you just want to party, then fine, just party. But there's some deeper stuff underneath that I was glad in that interview with Chris Rock, and then me being able to work with him for him to go, that was right, you were right here, this was dead on. Prince was talking about spiritual evolution and evolving to his higher self. Purple Rain, what makes Purple Rain beautiful is that it becomes one of the first times that Prince is trying to create an emotional relationship and not a physical relationship. In fact, he is relinquishing. He is submitting. He's saying, you know what? Damn the fact that the physical relationship didn't work. Think about this, though. Think about this, Brother Dean and Prof. Duff. At the time of that song, I knew I wasn't emotionally mature enough to have a positive relationship with a former mate that the relationship didn't work out. Think about what he's saying. He's saying, hey, it didn't work out, but I still love you. How many of us get to a place with our ex-spouses and our ex-mates where we can still wish them heaven, right? Which comes 4 or 5. I still wish you heaven. I still want to have this emotive, professional, I'm not a personal, platonic relationship with you. Prince was all about spiritual evolution. If you look at the lyrics and you read the lyrics, it's there. It's just that we weren't used to having it presented that way because we weren't used to a black rock star. And when you had a black rock star and the critics are analyzing him through a strictly Eurocentric lens, you miss the theology of the black church. I'll shut up.
Okay. Yes, amen. No, I feel what you're saying. That's an interesting sort of way that you frame that, in terms of the themes of the black church and how that was sort of going through his speech, lyrics and whatnot. It's the only thing it's funny when he says things like, you can't say God and these things on radio and stuff. It's interesting. I don't know if he was saying that or if he really believed, because then I'm like, but then you can say head and all these other songs on the radio. Like, but you can see the contradiction. Even he's still a young man at that point. But it's just interesting, that even the fact that you said he was 26, 27 when he did all, that age and his background, all of this is bleeding through his music, even at such an early age, and he has the pulse of the world essentially to tell this. So this is fascinating.
Well, keep in mind that the Clark sisters and Andre Crouch the Clark sisters and Andre Crouch got in trouble because their music crossed over, and the traditional church was mad because they weren't saying God enough. See, that's the thing, the story that gets missed by the Clark sisters and the Andre Crouch, and before we even get to the Kirk Franklins, that in the 70s and 80s, there was this new brand of black Christian music, black gospel music, that the church, that the traditionalists felt like was too pop, was too gospel crossover to the club. And they were getting, and what was happening was DJs felt comfortable playing a lot of the whinings and the crosses because it didn't have that really direct in-your-face God message. It had a more, you knew they were talking about God, but it had a more good feeling about it as opposed to, so these people laid the way for Kirk Franklin. But if it's not for, so I tell people, if you love Kirk Franklin, you got to know who the whinings are. You got to know who Andre Crouch and his people are. And you got to know who the Clark sisters are. Because without those three people and more, right? And as Sister Kim said, so the music is jamming. It ain't you going to hell, right? So you could be in the club and jam to it and not feel bad about jamming to it. Yet they were fighting against that whole, we will play it because it's not in our face. So to your point, Brother Dean, unfortunately, singing songs about head were easily played on pop radio than singing songs about God. And so I remember the wine. What is it? What's somebody put in the chat? The song with the wine that had love in it. It wasn't redemptive love. It was whatever the one, not the one. Yeah, BB and CC had the song, and it wasn't redemptive love. And they got so much pushback because they got accused of being afraid to say the name Jesus. They said you sold out and you let the industry tell you that you couldn't say, but their addictive love, that's it. That addictive love got pushed back from the traditionalists. That's what Prince is reacting to, the fact that you really couldn't say God and salvation and be a pop artist in the same way that it was okay that you could say something else. I'll shut up.
Okay, Dorothy. I was about to say it, but I know what he meant.
Right. But I mean, they played Erotic City. And we all knew what he was saying in Erotic City. I heard Irresistible B on the radio. So Head may not have been on the radio, but Irresistible B was on the radio. International Lover was on the radio. Do Me Baby was on the radio. Let's Work was on the radio. So Prince's point that a lot of his raunchy stuff could get on the radio, but he knew that you was gonna get pushback if you said God. You couldn't get it on there.
And it's funny because he would be the poster child for pushing back. Like
Yeah, exactly.
But that's interesting. When somebody said a lady cab driver, he said love without sex. He's saying that, but what's going on in the background? You see the contradiction, like he playing in your face on the song, but I guess that was the point.
And let's be clear, they would fade out Lady Cab Driver. Like you didn't get the full shebang of Lady Cab Driver. So you didn't get the Jill Jones part of Lady Cab Driver on the radio. Not intentionally, but back in the day, as we know, we had DJs who would play long forms and forget, right? And they'd come back and have to snatch something up.
All right, so I'm going to keep it moving just because of the time, and we have several more articles. I would like
30 minutes just to throw that at you.
Yeah, no worries. So this is a really important article, and I'm going to read the entire thing because we always hear about Prince helping Marva Collins, but not a lot. It is usually just like a sentence or two. So I really loved finding this article, or rather Yost finding it for me. So thank you, Yost. Prince historically will be remembered not only for being a great genius at performing, but for making a permanent difference in the lives of children, says Marva Collins, Chicago educator. Marva Collins Westside Preparatory School has announced the creation of an endowment fund to found a new teacher training institute. The purpose of the institute will be to spread Collins' teaching methods, which have been featured on 60 Minutes, The Phil Donahue Show, and on a TV special called The Marva Collins Story with Cicely Tyson, throughout the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Honorary chairman and co-founder of the endowment fund is rock star Prince. Prince contributed initial funding for the Westside Preparatory National Teaching Training Institute Endowment Fund. His managers and members of his business team have augmented that sum. But a major source of revenue for the fund will be money raised on Prince's upcoming Purple Rain tour. On the tour, a selection of superior seats would be sold at venue box offices as Purple Circle tickets at a minimum price of $50 each. Funds from the sales of these tickets will go directly to the endowment fund. Says Prince's manager, Steve Fargnoli, the formation of the Teaching Training Institute would be a permanent legacy of the Purple Rain tour. The creation of the institute will be the gift of Prince and his fans to the community. Prince and his managers, Cavallo, Ruffalo, and Fargnoli, have been active supporters of Collins' work for the last 2 years. On his last tour in 1982, Prince performed an impromptu benefit in Chicago, which raised funds for Westside Preparatory School. At that time, Prince sat in on a day of classes at the school and saw firsthand what makes Collins' methods unique. Prince saw a system of education and operation that has consistently turned kids formerly labeled truants, retardees, that's in the article, and behavior problems into scholars. A system that concentrates on making children believe in themselves and in hard work. In 1974, Marva Collins founded the Westside Preparatory Institute with $5,000 from her Chicago Teachers Pension Fund. The school started with 18 students in 2 rooms of Collins's home. Today, though the school has never accepted a grant or government funds, it has over 200 students from more than half a dozen states. The purpose of the Teacher Training Institute would be to spread the Collins' technique to tens of thousands of students nationwide by training up to 1,200 teachers each year. Explains Mrs. Collins, in my opinion, Prince's involvement in founding the Institute is a very first. For the first time, a performer is not just giving society a fish, but is providing funds to teach children how to fish for a lifetime. And it says from the Seattle Medium, so maybe this is also syndicated as well.
Seattle Medium is a black newspaper in Seattle.
Yes.
Wow. Props to the black press.
That made it here. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I really, of all the articles I'm reading this weekend, I really wanted to read that one. Okay.
Man, Prince was doing it like that early. Like, man, see that in today's world for my young people, That would be if Umar was actually really had a school,
Right.
and if Beyonce, one of these big artists, actually really did fund them. That's what Prince's real world was back in the 80s. Salute to Prince.
Or if Beyonce would actually do a concert and give the money to the LeBron James School in Akron. Right. So you got a LeBron James School, and how many big artists are actually doing things to add to that? And then don't forget that they were also asking people to bring canned goods to a lot of the shows. Right. They were still bringing canned goods, which is what he referenced in Hello. Right. He's saying, saying when it gets hungry children, my record stands tall when there's just as much hunger here at home. I'll shut up.
Powerful shit.
And I love TK Project's comment. Marva Collins, the most beautiful girl in the world. Her presence in that music video changed the meaning of the song for me. And that brings us back to the beginning of the episode when C Liegh was talking about the most beautiful girl in the world. And I love also Chris Barnet's comment. I wonder if Marva Collins reminded Prince of Bernadette Anderson, Andre Simone's mother. And that's definitely a possibility.
That's a great connection. That's a great connection.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm glad that TK said that, because that was, for me, that's what it meant, that the most beautiful girl in the world was about inner beauty. It was about spiritual beauty. Again, that's that Prince journey. Prince was always on that journey of overcoming the physical to become a better spiritual being. I'll shut up.
That's some powerful shit. I mean, just think about that. That song that he did, that out the blue, put it out on his own. It blew up. But, the message behind what it was so much bigger than it was a big hit. It was really raising money and spotlighting people that needed to be spotlighted.
And we can't forget who distributed The Most Beautiful Girl in the World.
Al Bell.
Yeah.
And who is Al Bell, C Liegh?
Al Bell, one of the co-founders of Stax Records, and one of the coldest brothers out there to give Black independent voices a real stick in the game, that they were so powerful the FBI had to come and shut them down. So if you have not seen that documentary, you need to see the Stax documentary and see who Al Bell is. And the fact that Prince and Al Bell work together says a lot about both of them brothers. Thank you, Prof. Duff, for making that connection and making us remember who Al Bell was. And man, I wish they had did some more projects together. Man, anyway.
Yeah.
Thing is, you never know. Maybe they did. It just didn't come out. That's the,
right.
Prince. You got a lot of stuff.
And I also love Carol Brooks' comments. No government money or grants, keeping their true independence. There were quite a few independent Black schools in that time who would not take government money.
And I was just saying, for anybody, do some research on the freedom schools that came out of the SNCC movement. So we're not going to discuss it now, but if look up SNCC, SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinator Committee, and out of the SNCC movement came the freedom schools. That's a little light reading for you. All right, we can move on.
All right. Okay. That's a good question, Chris. I wonder if Al Bell is interviewed in the Prince Netflix documentary. I don't know. I
bet you he not, based on what they wanted to put out there. But I'm just being petty. I'm sorry. Great question, Brother Bernay. I'm just being petty. I'm sorry, Brother Bernay. That was a great question. And I messed up your question by being petty. I'm sorry, brother.
At least the rage.
Okay. So we got to, I'm going to be reading a lot about Atlanta because that's the Purple Rain show that I went to. And I want to read this one. So tickets for 2 Prince concerts go on sale at 7 a.m. Saturday. This is in the Atlanta Constitution by Maureen Downey. Rock music fans in Atlanta have waited in line 7 days for Elton John tickets and 6 days for Rod Stewart. Apparently, they were ready to do the same for the flamboyant Prince. As soon as fans learned that tickets to Prince's Purple Rain January concerts would go on sale Monday morning, they began gathering at ticket outlets. Now, remember, tickets go on sale on Monday morning. The rush for tickets Wednesday led promoters to move up the opening sale date. Tickets to the January 3rd and 4th concerts at the Omni will now go on sale at 7 a.m. Saturday at the 38 Seats outlets, including the 35 Turtles Records and Tape stores, Gate A at the Omni, Bojo's, I don't know what Bojo's is, and Cedartown and Macon Mall. Joe Martin, Vice President of Turtles Records and Tapes, said store managers were concerned that lengthy ticket lines would clog malls and shops during the peak Christmas shopping season. Martin emphatically said lines will not be allowed to form until after 10 p.m. Friday, after the turtle stores have closed. If they show up before we close, we're going to run them off, he said. At the Omni lines would be permitted Friday at 10 p.m. after the Atlanta Hawks game is over, said Bob Williams, the Omni's director of marketing. Concert officials said they were not surprised. They were not surprised. People were ready to line up Wednesday and suffer 5 days and nights in the cold for Prince's Purple Rain show. Prince fans who intend to brave the line should note the strict guidance to prepare to adhere to them. All sales would be cash. No orders would be taken over the phone, and there would be no charges. There would be a limit of 10 tickets per customer. You may not buy 10 tickets per night, but the total may be split over the 2 concerts. Tickets cost $15.50 and $17.50 plus a $1 service charge. Despite past practices, Turtles will not honor ticket lists compiled by people waiting in lines. So they had a lot of rules, like cash only, no credit cards, no buying tickets for other folks past the 10 tickets over the 2 days. I just love the specificity.
And what city was this?
It's Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they weren't playing with us.
I got one question for you, Prof. Duff, which may not even resonate with you. What do? Because I probably associate with something completely different. With what do you associate the Omni in Atlanta? What are the things? What is when you think Omni in Atlanta? What
Prince, Purple Rain, because that's where I only went to the Omni once, and I went for the Purple Rain tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, wow.
And they tore it down. That's so the first thing I think of is Prince Purple Rain, and the second thing I think of is they tore it down.
Okay.
And I didn't understand why.
See, growing up as a child, the Omni was associated with wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of the big wrestling videos. Let me be clear.
What's wrestling?
Clear to people in the chat. Wrestling is what you do in college. Wrestling is what they do on TV. So yeah, the Omni in Atlanta was one of the big wrestling shows. One of the like when you hear about like now when wrestling is really big thing and it's WWF and all that. The Omni in Atlanta, AWA wrestling in the Omni was one of the big major wrestling venues before it blew up on TNT and all that. So yeah, I always associate the Omni with wrestling.
So C Liegh, when I was 10 or 11, I was huge into wrestling. The Fabulous Freebirds were my favorite.
Oh, what song did they come out to? You remember what song they just come out to?
The song they used to come out.
They just come out to Freebird.
Oh yeah.
Michael Hayes, they just come out to Freebird, baby.
Yes.
That's how I fell in love with the song.
And then there's also Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase is from the city where I'm living now.
What? I didn't know that.
From Clinton. Go ahead. I got a funny Ted DiBiase story for you. Go ahead.
And then obviously there was Andre the Giant.
Hilarious.
Yes, and there was another guy, but I can't remember his complete name. But he was like one of the few black.
Junkyard Dog.
Yes.
Junkyard Dog.
Yep.
Brother Dean is looking like, what kind of southern country? What the hell? Junkyard Dog.
So what's interesting, we had a family friend who was going to take me to a wrestling match, but I never got to get to this wrestling match. So by the time, I guess, it didn't last very long. It was probably like 2 years, though. I was really into particularly the Fabulous Freebirds.
Yeah.
Love.
And there was a guy who became really popular later named Jerry the King Lawyer. He was on the big when it went WWF. He was from Memphis. So Jerry the King. So it was Memphis and Atlanta. For those who don't know, wrestling was a regional thing. And so you had different superstars regionally, and then you had the bigger stars who would go from region to region. So the Fabulous Freebirds, they would go from Andre the Giant, of course, he could go from region to region. And so Brother Stanley had Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man. He was really from Clinton. And this is how I realized that a lot of people didn't know that wrestling was fake. This had to be 88, 89. So I'm like 18, 19 years old. the Kroger, for those of you, if you're not from the South, you may not know Kroger grocery store.
I know.
So there was a Kroger grocery store, and Ted DiBiase walked out of the Kroger grocery store, and then didn't do anything. He flicked his cigarette. He just kind of smoked a and flicked the cigarette. And the police officer, another white police officer, said to Ted DiBiase, the $1 million elbow. I got a Dusty Rhodes story in a minute. So he said, you want to pick that up? The police officer said to Ted DiBiase, you want to pick that up? And the white guy who worked with me turned to me and said, Ted's going to give him what for? He don't know he messing with the $1 million man. And when Ted DiBiase bent down and picked up that cigarette butt, I turned to him and said, Ted know the $1 million man is effing with the police. So that's my Ted DiBiase. Big sexy. Brother Dean.
Oh, he's all into it.
Me and Big Sexy gonna take over your show and talk about Dusty Rhodes. We're gonna take over your show.
Do your thing.
Talk about the American dream. Dusty Rhodes. I'm gonna end on this. Dusty Rhodes was the blackest white man I had ever met in my life. I never heard a white man talk like Dusty Rhodes. I never heard a white man move like the American dream. Dusty Rhodes. So yes, I'm glad somebody put Dusty Rhodes in it. So me and Big Sexy is gonna take over the Prince Podcast Juice Show and talk about the American
Big
dream.
Sexy used to have a
Dusty
wrestling
Rhodes.
podcast on the channel. He used to do that.
Say what?
Big Sexy, I'm sure he did a wrestling podcast on the channel. He did a couple episodes.
But yeah.
So I just want to say one more thing, and then we'll get back to Prince, Kim. So, and I know that you have to leave, Michael. So one of the reasons why I love the Fabulous Freebirds was because I was also huge into Kung Fu movies, and particularly the Shaw Brothers films. And I always loved any Kung Fu movie where there were a clan, and like the ones where they had like the really long hair and like half of their front of their head shaved off. So I love that the Fabulous Freebirds were literally kind of like, a Kung Fu clan, right? So that's the reason why I kind of gravitated towards them, because they all had their special powers and all of that. So just to let you know, like, why I gravitated towards them in particular. Okay, so just super quick. This is from the Detroit Free Press. This isn't about the Purple Rain Tour, but I could not resist because this was an article from 1984 about B-sides. And this was written by Gary Graff, who we've heard from before. And the name of the article is Record Fans Get B-Sides Worth Flipping Over. Now on this front page, because this is a two-parter, at the very bottom, it says in the little top right-hand corner, it says 45s do double duty. And at the very end, you see Erotic City / Let's Go Crazy. So it was really nice to see that, amazing B-side acknowledged in this article. And then if you go to the next page, you will see where they talk specifically about, Gary talks about Prince, so I'll read that bit. Some performers, however, may have some artistic goals in mind. As Merlis put it, who is a Warner Brothers executive, I think there are a few people out there with a lot to say and a lot of music in them. They don't have enough releases to get them out. Or as Tracken added, I can't remember who Tracken is, it's the artist giving their fans something a little extra. That certainly seems to be the case with Prince. All 3 hit singles from his Purple Rain album have B-sides that aren't available on the record. 17 Days was a flip of When Doves Cry. Erotic City has received a fair amount of airplay, as C Liegh schooled us earlier, as the companion to Let's Go Crazy. And God, the flip side of the title track, began as incidental music for the movie and was revamped when Prince came up with lyrics for it. This is Purple Rain era material that Prince might not feel he wants to release later, Merlis explained. Now, the reason why I really wanted to talk about this article is that when you're a Prince fan for so long, you sometimes forget about beginner's mind. And we sort of just take for granted that we got B-sides when that was actually a massive deal. Not only did we get a B-side, but at that particular time, we got B-sides on almost every single. Yep. Which is really crazy to think about. Like in real time, that was so exciting. Like, it wasn't like, what's going to be the next single just for single sake. It was like, what's going to be the next B-side?
That part.
That part. Yes. And what's crazy is, obviously we know this started all the way back with Controversy with the Less Work single, what Gotta Stop Messing About. And then obviously, you know, we get Irresistible Big. So it was just like, it was such an amazing time to be a Prince fan, because not only did you get the album, but you got the 12 inches that where, you know, sometimes the 12-inch mixes would go on for way past 10 minutes, which is when I was really happy. And then you also got the B-side.
Yeah.
And it made me feel some kind of way about other artists that wasn't giving us B-sides that wasn't on. Yeah, like I would go and buy singles, because I bought singles all through the 80s. And, you know, when I would buy somebody else's single and I decided I liked them and I'd get their album, I'd be pissed off. Like, this is on the damn album. Because the thing about it, if you buy 3 singles, that's 6 songs. That's the whole damn album. Right. And so that became the thing about it. Like, if you like their first single, like their second single, then you're like, well, do I want to buy this third single, or I just want to go and get the album? Because, like, unlike Prince, you weren't getting new material. So it really did. I'm glad you brought that up, because it really did. I would downgrade a lot of artists because they didn't have B-sides. They didn't have B-sides that wasn't on the record. I like, they not as creative as Prince. And it did impact where I would put people in musical tiers, because they couldn't give us something extra. That's it. I'll set up.
So I love this comment from Body Satva. And I love, because I got on my Steely Dan shirt. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Every 3 months, it was like, where the new music? If it took longer than 3 months, you knew a new album was coming. I love this comment. Thank you for that. Now, this is something I don't know the answer to. Chris Burnett is asking, was Prince's bodyguard, Big Chick, ever a wrestler? Do we know?
I'm trying to remember that article that he wrote. Remember the article that he wrote when he left and he did?
Yeah, I didn't read it.
Yeah, I remember him talking about being a bouncer. I don't remember wrestling. I do remember him talking about being a bouncer and then all the drugs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But no, so I don't. That's a good question, Brother Burnett.
I think I vaguely remember. I actually read his book, or the book his daughter had wrote. Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like maybe he did do some wrestling. I could be wrong, but I swear they talk about this in his book.
Yeah, I have the book, but I haven't read it yet. I just...
Well, no, I didn't read his book. I read the article. Remember, he did right after he left Prince, he did the kind of tell-all article that was in People magazine or something.
Yeah.
I never got around to reading his book.
Yeah, I was sad when Big Chick left, but I didn't want to hear any Prince slander at the time, because I just didn't.
It made what is it? Old Friends made Old Friends for Sale juicier. Like,
yes.
Made that a juicy single.
Yeah. So yes.
There we go.
That's it. It's a cold type. They got Prince on the cover. They got cocaine. Man, that's a wild. That looked like a wild book, like TMZ Productions. But
yes. So wow. I love this comment from Chris Barnett. Chris says some artists would have an instrumental version of the song on the B-side, which I'm sure C Liegh wasn't down with, but I was down with it. So I loved getting the singles that had the instrumental and the acapella. And you know, Prince really didn't do that, and I was okay with that because we were really getting B-sides. So it's like, if you got to do one or the other, I want that song that I haven't heard. But for a lot of the other artists, I would want that instrumental and acapella.
You're right, Brother Nate. I was like, what the hell, where is it? I was that fool. Whenever that instrumental that wasn't like this, I hated that, Brother Burnett. You are absolutely right. When they would release just the instrumental version of the song, I was like, what the hell? So yeah, you're right, but you got me paid correctly, Brother Nate. I hated that.
All right. So Carol says, just checked. Big Chick was a professional wrestler.
There you go.
Thank you for checking, Carol. Really appreciate that. All right. Michael, I know you have to leave. I'm assuming in 6 minutes. Is that correct?
6 minutes, Dougie Fresh. You're wrong. Yeah.
Oh, that was tight. You quit, boy. You quit. Boy.
Do you mind reading our last reading from the book today on page 456? It'll be less than 6 minutes.
All right. November 30th, 1983, venue Capitol Center, Landover, Maryland, capacity 19,026, sold out. There's a quote from Matt Fink. My favorite time frame with him, working with him, I'd say the Purple Rain era, just because it was the most collaborative point with the band, and I enjoyed that side of it. And then, of course, the massive success of it all. But there were trade-offs at that point because you became very famous, but at the same time, you couldn't go in public without being recognized all the time. And people may be bugging you in public places. So there's a trade-off then, Matt Fink. Prince and the Revolution began this show by playing his 1981 track Controversy from Behind the Curtain. Because it didn't require choreographed lights or effects, this was likely Prince's way to stretch outside the straitjacket of the meticulously designed tour. And it was often the final song for his afternoon jam session sound checks. It was also one of the rare instances that the full band played something from earlier than 1983. In the first month of the tour, Prince and the Revolution had sold more than 363,000 tickets, but had played in only 4 cities. Whoa. The tour was incredibly successful, but it was moving very slowly through the country. Man. Oh, was that Rick?
Yeah. Ricky's getting the.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up? You coming to take over my shift?
Tag team. Since we talking about wrestling, you can tag me in.
Oh, he made the tag. He's in the ropes.
Tag team. Okay. Cue my theme music, man. It's gonna be a beautiful night.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what put in the chat. If you were a wrestler, what would be your walk-in music? I want everybody to chat. If you are a wrestler, what would be your walk-in music to the ring? Or if you were a boxer, because boxers actually have walk-in music. Yeah. So if you were a wrestler or a boxer, what would be your walk-in music?
We gotta hear from
walking in the face down. That's my walk.
Okay.
Hey man, good choice.
I know what mine would be. It is the. I don't really have a lot of go-to Prince songs, but the song I go to when I'm most pissed off, I'm most angry, even if I'm doing some social political work around the city, the Exodus has begun. The Exodus has begun. When I'm pissed off, when I'm like, okay, it's about that time, we gotta go do something. I put on the Exodus has begun, or it just starts playing in my mind. That's the one for me.
I think for me it would be The War.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. That'd be a long ass walk-in, but yeah, that's It's taking the dangerous stuff 24 minutes to get to the ring.
The champ is here.
Yeah.
The war goes on and on.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh,
I love that it was Andre. Andre put Never Scared by Bone Crusher. Never Scared is actually one of my mom's favorite songs.
Damn.
I'm gonna go hard.
Okay, let me explain. So my mom taught high school, and she said she had to listen to rap so she would know what her students were talking about. So she would listen to rap every morning. So it's like she was like, that's the one right there. Never Scared. Yes.
Hey man, sometimes being an educator or former educator, sometimes then you gotta have that mindset going in.
Yeah.
You gotta play some, Bone Crusher or like some Ice Cube death certificate or something.
And I love Ronald's Days of Wow.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Uncas.
And Less Work for Graffiti.
Man, somebody said Arms of Orion.
But they were saying that's kidding. All right. So Michael Dean, do you want to make your out?
Yeah, actually I will. Man, so thanks for having me on today. You guys continue on. Great show. Man, C Liegh, thank you so much. D'Angela, thank you. Ricky. All right.
It's all good, brother.
All right, y'all.
Next time I'll just join you. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. All right, you guys have a good one.
All right.
All right, bye.
Okay, I love Dr. Claus here, which is Jerk Out.
Jerk Out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
With the original lyrics, Dr. Claus? With the original lyrics?
All right. Okay. So this is the ticket from Friday, November 30th. And so these are the two set lists that, so right now Prince Vault doesn't have set lists for every single show. So these are the two shows that are the next to each other where we have the set list. And so as we read in Duane's book, actually that was for the November 30th show. So, oh, this is the wrong one. I think I put the wrong one in here. Sorry. Did I? Yeah, I'm sorry. I this is the wrong one. So I have to go, or I forgot to change the title or something like that. So I'm gonna have to look and see what. So let me read. Okay. 1:30 p.m. is Off the Top Rope.
That's a good one, Sister Kim. That's a good one. I like where your mind is.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this one, and this is Prince Cleans Up, receives a PG rating. Cleans Up Act receives a PG rating. Okay, and this is by Maureen Downey again, and I love the caption for the photo: bare-chested. Prince shed his frilly shirt in Detroit concert. So, audiences in cities where the Purple Rain Tour has already played apparently have found Prince charming. Atlanta will become the 13th city to host Rock's Royal Rascal when Prince brings his erotic funk to the Omni January 3rd and 4th. Whether the prancing Prince is fit entertainment for the teenage audience he draws may be a concern to some parents. If it's any consolation, the music scene's hottest act has visited 4 cities on his current worldwide tour, and reviewers in Detroit, Greensboro, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia have given Purple Rain a PG rating. After last week's performances in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Inquirer popular music critic Ken Tucker wrote, where Springsteen is the brooding conscience of rock and Jackson its paranoid gremlin, Prince is its funky libertine, a haughty, naughty brat with immense talent and neuroses coming out of his ears. We've read a lot of these that Maureen is like summing up. So Susan Ladd, we've definitely read Susan Ladd. Entertainment writer for the Greensboro News and Record found Prince tame. I don't think it's a bad show for teenagers to see, but I would think twice about sending my 10-year-old alone, she said Thursday. I think it's really important to understand that a lot of young people, very young people, went to concerts by themselves. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can do that anymore, but that was a thing back then. So that I thought that was an interesting comment, but I would think twice about sending my 10-year-old alone. And the elusive 26-year-old superstar has toned down his swagger for his first world tour. Gone are the sinister trench coat and black bikini briefs that were trademarks of his earlier concerts. His ascendance to the throne and bid for wider consumption began 2 years ago with his best-selling rhapsodic, I think I'm pronouncing it right, dance album 1999, the #1 album Purple Rain, and the hit movie of the same name, which transformed Prince into a national sensation this summer, have infused Prince with a degree of respectability. The movie expanded Prince's audience from a rock dance cult to platoons of American teens who mimic his fashion preference for Edwardian ruffled shirts, body-hugging pants, and purple satin brocade jackets. Prince admits to a passion for the royal color, and his house, tour bus, BMW, and motorcycle are all customized purple. Purple Rain also established Prince as a sex symbol of the 80s, sensual, pouty, and enigmatic. Born Prince Rogers Nelson, this new wave Don Juan generally refuses interviews and presents an unsettling blend of defiance and vulnerability that has made him a favorite of teenage girls. However, his risque lyrics and his onstage pantomimes of lovemaking with his microphone have made him less than a favorite of some parents. The songs on his 4 Warner Brothers albums explore adolescent sexuality. So this is when I read this the first time, I don't know if the songs in his 4 Warner Brothers albums explore I don't know what an adolescent is. Like what's the age range for that? And language explicit enough to require warning stickers, contains language which may be unsuitable for some listeners. And I'm not going to read that part.
I think adolescent is often meant to be minor.
You like maybe 12 and under.
Yeah, you could be a minor in adolescence. You're minor, and you're definitely not close to 18, and also puberty meant it would often mean puberty and going through puberty.
That's what I thought. So that's really like this sentence doesn't make any sense for me. Because Maureen writes the songs on his 4 Warner Brothers albums explore adolescent sexuality. I don't think he's exploring adolescent.
Well, for them, because remember, a lot of the pushback on Prince was that the sexuality was kind of childish, or it was low grade. That if you were really digging in sexuality that way, that because you think about a lot of the teenage movies at that time. Think about the teen movies. It was all sexual angst in the 80s. So the 80s became the really time of sexual angst. And so teens were seen as being sexually angst out. And so that's how they kind of saw Prince as playing to that kind of sexually angst out demographic.
I see. Okay. All right. So let's see what is the next article. All right. So I'm not going to read this one because we've, already read about the Gallaudet performance. And the reason why, no, we don't need to read that one either. So 25 live shows so far in 1984. And here is 25. Yeah. And so you can see the shows here, and 4 of them were not from the Purple Rain tour. So technically 21. And I want to go into our music break. All right. So last night I watched the Yacht Rock documentary because I'm a huge fan of Steely Dan.
Yes, I watched it last night too.
Yes. It is really good, right, Ricky?
It is.
And
I'm jealous. I ain't know what's on. I'm jealous of y'all. I gotta go watch it.
It's so good, C Liegh, that I immediately wanted to watch it 2 times in a row. One of the things that I love about it is that Michael McDonald is getting his flowers. Because, Steely Dan, they get their flowers, but I don't think Michael McDonald gets his flowers. And what's crazy is that he is definitely unsung because he sung background on so many.
He did. I didn't know that.
It's crazy. And so what's funny is either the earlier yesterday or the day before yesterday, I was listening to Yama Be There,
right?
And I always thought it was a Michael McDonald song.
But yeah.
He sings background on it, but it's a James Ingram song. Yeah. I always thought it was a Michael McDonald song because his voice is so distinct. Another thing that I find funny about Michael McDonald is that his voice is not a background singer's voice.
Nope.
It's a lead singer, but everybody used him for background vocals like Steely Dan and Jay. It's crazy.
Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But you know what that speaks to the difference in musicality today, right? Like in those days when we grew up, background singing was real artistry, right? You think about it today. Think about the last 10, 12 years. When have you really heard a song in the last 20 years that you are listening to it as much for the background and the harmonies and the structure as you were for the groove? It just doesn't happen anymore.
Well, I'm
with you about Michael McDonald being a lead voice, but it also speaks to, Luther was a background singer.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So they came from a time when the whole song structure, right? We grew up on real compositions. And I'm going to stop because I don't want to get into my hate for new music, but I think you're making a great point, Prof. Duff, that Michael McDonald being known as much for being a background singer is also about how the construction of music has changed. I'll shut up.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that everyone run and not walk to watch this documentary. And I won't give it away, but I love when the credits roll and they get a phone call from someone who refused to participate in the documentary. I have so much respect for that person. So I thought that was really brilliant.
We're
not going to say who.
No. Yep. No, I'm not gonna say, but I know I will say I was glad, like you said, about they gave Michael McDonald his props, and they kind of did a little segment on like what a fool believes,
Mm.
Yeah.
which I won't go into. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but that's like one of the greatest songs ever written. But but it was a very good documentary. I mean, HBO has kind of come with, like this year they did the Stax documentary,
Yes.
and they did this one, so they've kind of come with the music documentaries, and even a couple years ago, man, the Kenny G documentaries, it was pretty good.
And the Bee Gees documentary.
Yeah,
Extreme.
so the Bee Gees documentary. So
Quick question: How long is it?
like an hour and some change.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's yeah, you know what? I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of times I've seen recently on Tubi these like Prince documentaries, and they're like 50 minutes. I'm like, that doesn't even begin to do the first couple albums. But this is at least an hour and some change, maybe close to 2 hours.
But I'm also worried about going the other way, because I want to see the Beatles' new documentary in 1964. But the problem is I haven't finished the other Beatles documentary, which is 6 hours long. I've done the first 2 hours, and I haven't done the last 4 hours. So I'm glad to know that this one ain't 8 hours.
No, it's not 8 hours. I actually watched all 8 hours of the
Beatles.
And what's crazy, the entire time I was watching it, I kept saying, I wish there was a Prince documentary like this. I wish there was, just
that on Disney?
Just seeing them record. What's that?
I said, man, is that on Disney Plus or something?
I don't know.
Is it? I think it's Max. I think it's HBO. It may be, yeah, because I got it with my Hulu Disney HBO special. I mean, package. So I think it's on HBO.
I love this coming from Blade Brown. Don't go to Tubi for Prince docs. You get a Prince documentary.
Yeah.
Though I will say, I'm saying how far I got, which is the best part, because I don't want to go back. And it's sad. So I know it's sad. I shouldn't be laughing at this. But the best part of that Beatles documentary for me so far was the fact that George had quit and nobody knew. I was like, damn, that's why he quit. Like, Rick, that's why he quit. The man quit and they didn't even know he quit. That's why the hell he quit. Right there. So anyway, I was just like, damn.
Yeah, and what's funny is that, well, it's not funny, but like George was always my favorite Beatle. And I actually prefer George's solo output to all the other ones. So yeah, I was like, oh my God, they're treating him like that. He's brilliant.
And he said the line where he said, Eric Clapton is doing this. And they said, well, you ain't Eric Clapton. I was like, damn, really? Just to that man's face like that?
So wait a minute. So like, is this the?
I see why he quit.
So like, is this the series that they did like years ago, where they had on TV this Beatles documentary? It was like a whole bunch of episodes.
This like a whole new. It's
brand new. Okay.
Is it the recording of their last album? Which is it? Is because it's 6 hours. It's a recording session. So it's 6 or 8 hours of the whole recording session for whatever the album is. And it was whatever the album was, which was their last album.
So is that Abbey Road or Let It Be? I think it might have been Abbey Road.
I can't remember. But when I say, I'll tell you this, in just the first 2 hours I watched, you see that band breaking apart in real time. like we all know what the end result is, but them first 2 hours you go, yep, this is coming to an end.
I mean, was this the one where John Lennon was playing and Yoko was sitting next to him?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, she's sitting up. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think I did see that.
Yes.
I think I did see that. Okay.
But like I said, every single time I like the entire 8 hours, C Liegh, I was going, I wish we had this. Like Prince in the studio, I would kill to see Prince in the studio.
Exactly.
For that, like recording an entire album, I mean, that would be just like really amazing.
I'm with you on that.
Oh, I'm so glad to see I have a fellow George lover for a favorite Beatle. Yes.
And thank you, Professor Oak, because I don't think that my man, that Billy Preston gets enough credit and enough shine. So you're right, Professor Oak, that they do really show. I've seen one Billy Preston documentary, and it was a good one. It was a good one, but I just don't think Billy Preston gets enough shine for what he meant to music. So thank you, Prof. Oak, for putting that in the chat about Billy Preston kind of being the glue to keeping them together for a minute. Appreciate that.
And I totally forgot that Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, actually was the director for the documentary, which is kind of cool. And it's on Apple TV. Like that's where it is.
Oh,
so,
the new one? Which one?
The one that we're talking about, which is called The Beatles Get Back by Peter Jackson.
Well, I may be talking about a different one then because I don't have Apple TV.
No, it's the same one.
Okay, I'm watching it on Max.
Yeah,
I don't have Apple.
There was one that came on Disney Plus a couple of years ago.
See, I got the Disney Hulu.
Arlene says it was originally on Disney.
Okay, there we go. Okay, very cool then. Okay.
Oh, and Kim says they're bad. It's Disney Plus.
Okay, there we go.
That's what I remember. It being a big deal about that. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So again, if you love good music and you're a music head, you must watch this documentary called Yacht Rock.
And this ain't got nothing to do with that documentary, but I just got to go. I keep forget.
All
right, let's move on.
Okay. Corey Henry is going to be at the New York very, very soon. 2 nights, 2 shows every night from December 3rd to 8th. Please support real music by real musicians. And I am so happy to announce that Omar is going to be in New York City on January 19th at City Winery. I already got my tickets because I love me some Omar. And don't fret, because he's not only going to be touring New York City, he's also going to be in Chicago, Atlanta, and Philly, as well as Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, wow, that's close to me.
Yeah, you should definitely. If you've never seen Omar live, now is your opportunity to do so. He is definitely a living legend. He has music just pouring out of him. Also, since we've been talking about Michael McDonald and how unique of a vocalist he is, Omar is also very distinct and unique in his vocal styling. So don't sleep on Omar. All right. I don't know of anything that's going on Purple Road, but I haven't been on social media, so I don't know really what's going on. But obviously, we still want to lift up Jeremiah during his battle with cancer. And if you haven't had an opportunity to contribute to his GoFundMe, or even if you have, if you want to contribute more, we want to continue to support Jeremiah. And in the playlist, I have I Would Die For You and Another Lonely Christmas and those rehearsals we talked about. And I would highly recommend that you listen to the Another Lonely Christmas rehearsal. Then I also have the trailer for the Yacht Rock documentary. I'll also put the trailer for the Stax documentary in here, as well as the Beatles one that we talked about. And then I also have some more Michael McDonald songs. Peg, which is a Steely Dan song. Actually, Andre, you had said that you couldn't hear Michael McDonald and Peg. I hear Michael McDonald and Peg. Like that's one of the reasons why I love Peg so much, is because but it might be because my ears are tuned to hearing Michael McDonald. And then in addition to What a Fool Believes, I also have Minute by Minute. And those 2 songs are on the Doobie Brothers, because Michael McDonald was part of the Doobie Brothers, for those who may or may not know. And then also there's that version of Wendy and Lisa's with Lauren Otter's I Would Die For You. And I'll probably put in the Sade song and the Andre 3000 song, since we talked about it quite a bit.
Oh,
thank you so much, Purple Cat, because I didn't realize this, but Jeremiah is in the hospital with foot-related diabetes issues. So we definitely want to make sure we, if you're into prayer, that you send up prayers for Jeremiah.
Okay. Hey, you were speaking of Michael McDonald. He did a couple of albums where he did some Motown covers back in like the mid to late 2000s, where he goes in the vault. I mean, he does this great cover of Stevie's Tuesday Heartbreak, which is not, one of those popular songs, that gets played on the radio, say by Stevie Wonder, but it's one of the album cuts. But he does a great rendition of these Motown covers, which is pretty good. I don't know if they're streaming or out there, but they may be on YouTube or something like that.
So I love this comment from Chris Barnett. It would be great if there was a Michael McDonald box set with isolated vocals to sings background on. That would be incredible. And then to Chris P., welcome for being new here. This is not a Maryland-based podcast. We're actually all over. We're on the West and East Coast. Michael Dean, who left, I don't know if you were here when Michael Dean was here. He's based out of Seattle. I'm based out of the New York City, Jersey City areas. C Liegh is in Mississippi. And we got Ricky from Virginia, based in Virginia. So we're like all over the place. So this is actually a Prince World located podcast. We're in the Purple universe. It's all about Prince, but we also do what we call a Saturday salon in the tradition of Harlem Renaissance, where after we do our What Did Prince Do This Week portion of our show, we also talk about what's going on in music and music documentaries and sometimes film and sometimes photo exhibitions. It just really depends. Just arts and culture, essentially. C Liegh.
I was just gonna say for the playlist, we can't get that 2-episode issue of What's Happening with the Doobie Brothers. We can't get that bootleg. The 2-episode bootleg episode where Rerun go in and try to bootleg the Doobie Brothers. You got to add that to the playlist.
Hey, I tell you what, C Liegh, when you watch the documentary, that's all I'm gonna say. Just watch the documentary. Like it's gonna be a part where like you gonna be pleased.
Yes.
I know they talk about the Doobie Brothers. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a part where you will be pleased.
I'll be tuning into that tonight. Appreciate y'all.
Yes. All right. So again, for our new readers, this is what we're reading. Our listeners, this is what we're reading. Again, we reread a little bit from this book, and we've been reading this for 2 years. And we're about to embark on our next 2 years with the next book in this series, which is this book. Yep. Where am I doing? And this is Prince and the Studio Sessions, Parade and Sign the Times era, 1985 and 1986. This is how big these books are. So we're reading it week to week. All right. Look, Blake Brown said, I knew y'all would be talking about this documentary. That's right. You know we were going to be talking about this documentary. So yes, but you still have time. You can catch up with the homework. Make sure you watch that documentary. I think it's really, really, really great. And yes, we hope that Jeremiah has a speedy recovery. Again, please send up all the prayers if you are the praying kind, as I am. All right. So next week, we will be reading pages 457 to 463 for our 100th episode, which I'm very excited about. Please don't be disappointed if we don't have a special guest. But for me, 100 is celebration enough. So I think it's a really big deal. And we are almost to the end. We're going to go to page 470. So after next week, we technically only have, 7 pages left. Incredible. Yeah, hold on, C Liegh. Let me spotlight you.
Y'all can see that bookmark. And most of that, and by the way, most of that is indexed. So yeah, most of that bookmark is indexed. So yeah, we about done.
Yeah, I'll show you. So I have 2 bookmarks. One is the actual where we are, and then this is where the notes start.
There we go.
So we only have that much left. So it's been a journey. Oh my God. It has been such a journey. All right. Yes. What? This is amazing. I didn't know this. Thank you, Purple Cat Confetti. Spotify Audible has a Sign of Times book read by Duane, because I know on Audible it's not Duane reading. So that's really news. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you so much for letting us know that. That's so cool. All right. Who wants to take us out? Normally Michael Dean would take us out. Who's taking us out today?
I'm going to let Rick take us out. I just want to say this has been a wonderful 2 years. I've enjoyed it. I'm saying that I know I won't be here for the next 2 weeks because my Jackson State University Tigers are playing in the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship. And if we win next Saturday, December 14th, we'll be playing in the HBCU, the Black College National Championship. So I know I won't be here the 7th and the 14th. And I got some deadline stuff because I've been asked to write narratives for a short documentary that's being done on the Jackson State football team.
Oh, nice.
So,
hey, congrats.
So I will be out of commission at least the next 3 weeks, hopefully not the next 4. So if you don't see me in the chat for the next 3 to 4 weeks, know that my heart, my mind, my love is still with y'all. Prof. Duff, thank you so much for creating this space. Brother Rick, thank you so much for being you. Brother Dean, for all of y'all in the chat. Like I say, it'll be, there you go, Sisters and Kia. D.I. Love. There we go. Thank you so much for the D.I. Love shout out. But I just want to thank y'all. Y'all bless me every Saturday. As Brother Turnbull said, the chat is its own thing. And none of this without the chat would be possible. So thank y'all so much. I'll see y'all in about 3 to 4 weeks. But I know y'all going to hold it down. I'll be watching. Look, I'll be watching the recordings. And if Prof. Duff knows, if I like what I see in the recordings, I'm going to let y'all know I like it. And if I don't like it, I'm going to hunt you down and tell you. Now just play. So, thank y'all so much. That's it for me.
All right. Before Rick takes us out, Drea Dan says, we are going to have a special celebration when we finish the book. So I got to figure out if we're going to have like a Zoom with everyone can join so we can see each other, or maybe I can do it through StreamYard, but I can't remember like what the limit is. But I would like to do something definitely for the final the final reading of the last pages of the book. So we're definitely going to do something special for that if we don't do it for the 100th episode. And you got a lot of love in the chat, C Liegh. All right, Ricky, take us out.
Hey, thank y'all for joining us. This is the season for showing love and gratitude. So love on your people. You know what I'm saying? Show gratitude, man. Be thanks. You know, give thanks. You know, share some Prince music, spend some Prince music. You know what I'm saying? Say and enjoy yourselves. See y'all next week.
All right. Thank you.